Oh yeah, my all-time favorite anime, Naruto, that I watched, reading manga, and playing video games at the same time. I was kind of expecting to make a video about not just this anime, but also a video game adaptation that people should talk about ages ago. Well, other than some people who talk about the game. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm game was one of my favorite anime fighting games. I played this for shit after my long time Naruto Ultimate Ninja game, when I was playing it all the time on PlayStation 2 that I used to have in the old days. And I have stared at closest TV and played it for shit whenever my free time. I've heard about the first and only game in Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm that has a lot of creative features like minigames, climbing walls, side quests, etc. It was fun to watch them play on CPU and chill like it's a cinematic fight on anime. I remember seeing this first time when I was a kid and watching Gamma play on Storm 1 that I never got it and hadn't played it just before I got Storm 2's box when I was a child. I played Ultimate Ninja Storm all the time through and had a really good time with Storm 4 and its trilogy. It felt like it was a good anime fighting game and succeeded better compared to most of the Dragon Ball Z games, and the game was high budget. And yes, even non-Ultimate Ninja Storm games as well, like Shinobi Strikers, but the game is forgettable and looks monotonous in the slightest. Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm game has been popular for years with millions of selling copies, and people play the game all the time, game after release and after release. People played it often during their free time and videos requested for views. The Ultimate Ninja Storm franchise has followed canon source material, and one of them has extended more in story mode with the best climatic boss fight. It's crazy how Naruto has a 20th anniversary that has been popular for ages and makes a lot of Naruto games and makes a profit effort for merchandise and the Ultimate Ninja Storm games for something unique and exciting. Hence Storm 4 exists and has a trilogy and legacy game for Storm games to bring back that people want to play, and it's a fun game. But sadly, this is not the case. The game painfully declined after Road to Boruto came out and made a rash decision by not adding certain characters to the playables such as Adult Konohamaru and Shikage, and no minigames, as they used to have it since Storm 1. And hell, broken characters such as Pain, Kaguya, Madara, Sasuke, Tailaya, and one of them, and even modding, when people looking for an excuse to use it and desperate to try to win it. Not help, there are so much bugs in there, and don't seem to bother to fix the games for whole years, thus it is an utterly unplayable and broken mechanic. It was fun while last, before the game started to collapse and buried like its whole graveyards on the end to bleed and stopped updating after the announcement coming to Switch brought Boruto's Era outfit with the same combo and brought a couple of characters so they can focus on another game that involved anime work, and they immediately stopped paying attention. When I heard about the new game in Storm Connections, I was keenly expecting something exciting like a follow-up to Boruto anime and manga, where they always follow the canon source material, some new cool features, and even new characters are revealed. After like 7 years of updating to Storm Trilogy and Legacy game that they over-glorifying the shit out of it, it seems they doubled down in making this game relevant again by having certain characters for more attention, changing graphics, a new story, etc. that possibly could work after the painful boredom of Road to Boruto. I was kind of faithful in that game for bigger improvement and changes in Naruto's experience to see what was up that Cyber Connect was ready to build something new and had some potential, even if it was non-canon story mode. And implies they make interesting to have a generation with Naruto and his son, considering they were connected, which the title is called Storm Connection in the first place, and possibly follow up Boruto canon source material. But instead, despite all that, they only added a few new characters, one special story mode, a slideshow cutscene, and of course, the same old move from legacy characters. There is so much unstacked about this. I don't know what Cyber Connect to doing aside from watching some cringy Netflix romance movies or something, but don't you have an upgrade program for your computer when you studying the Ultimate Ninja Storm series? Basically, the so-called Storm Connections was misled into a new feature when it doesn't look like changing anything, not even bringing out new characters and shitty DLC. It doesn't make any sense and have no idea what the fuck are you talking about with overbearing recycling and updating. And they even begin over-glorifying Naruto and Sasuke when it comes to story mode and the character selection in different forms. It is basically Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4.5, since they are too lazy to make something new, and it's a downgrade mess, especially some ironic boss fight scene that was so cool and awesome before, and now it's stripped away and vanished in favor of generic one-on-one. At least, everyone saw that during the intro where Dara vs Deidara, Jiraiya vs Pain, and others in there, and never brought up. Are they lazy or what? Just what kind of history mode did they make by cutting off canon source material mod gunning no explanation of content? Also, they have to put the feedback episode despite a disaster cut and shitty slideshow cutscene and barely have any boss fight compared to previous Storm games.
What the hell is this?
The thing about Storm Connections, the character select screen is rather a mess, and they barely had organized the character slot and had no clue where the character is, and almost difficult to find it. It looks like they cramped up the files of a paper folder and it's a mess. I get why they have Naruto and Sasuke everywhere like wildfire when it comes to the character section in different forms and separate characters in younger, teen, and older versions, and remain the same moveset for both Shippuden's and Boruto's eras between Konoha 11 and Sand siblings. Just why? It would be cooler if one of them had a different move and something unique rather than copying and pasting moveset from old Storm games. They already have Naruto and Sasuke with different movesets and different jutsu. They did get the job well done as well as Boruto's dispatch from any Storm 4 version of him, so they managed to have Boruto Karma's unique moveset and something new. But it just remains the same old from old games for some odd reason. Some development your Cyber Connect 2. In addition, you were confronted and can't be allowed to play another character version, young or old, and locked out after choosing a character in a certain version in the team. Which is weird. I remember that Storm Generation to Storm 4 allows you to play other versions, old and young, and free to pick a character anytime. Occasionally. Besides, you won't be able to the last or Boruto's era after selecting either of them. They still play the young ones and can play anytime they want. But I'm guessing that Cyber Connect 2 had restricted playing other version characters due to time skip and only selecting one at the time, as the recent game release. They removed tilts and replaced them with the second jutsu and this lead to the wrong jutsu, thus they may not be able to punish the player much. And they are even not allowed to change jutsu after selecting a character and only the ultimate technique or team's ultimate technique is allowed to change. No clue why they are not allowed to change jutsu. In previous games, they could change ninjutsu anytime after selecting a character and using it a lot with Inferno Fireball is the most powerful jutsu, while using Sasuke Rinnegan. But I guess you can't have fun with Sasuke Rinnegan anymore, since he doesn't have an Inferno Fireball anymore. Moreover, there is no spectate mode, while playing tournaments or endless matches online and only have 2 matches, ranked and casuals, and have no time to add other online features. When you match up against other players, you're not allowed to back out and are forced to play with them, especially some bad connections, and deal with a lag stutter and slow down the wiki. And you can't even invite one of your friends to play together. This just proves that online is a bigger mess, since they not only have online tournaments and others have sent from this game but are shamelessly anti-consumer and badly implemented. Not even the whole trust level system, if they constantly disconnect, which is rage quitting, if you don't know, and doesn't do actually in the slightest, not even for connections. I heard that Cyber Connect 2 will be adding other modes and stuff later on, but I doubt they will, since they rushed the game up and unfinished with poorly managed and inferior effort. I thought Demon Slayer had another problem for anime fighting games, regardless of I'm a huge fan of the series and have not played it for a while. Oh, also, some voice in English dub has slightly changed despite most of them reprising their roles and sounding awfully after the game was released. Let's hear what Naruto says about during the boss fight.
Did that wake you up? Did that wake you up?
Seriously, the fuck what was that? Some English voices sound like someone is addicted to cocaine and felt rushed for some odd reason. No offense to most of the English dub's voice actors. And I get why Troy Baker, who was the original voice actor of Pain and Yamato, withdrew from Naruto's cast due to a conflict schedule issue and had Matthew Mercer take over his roles for the rest of the series, albeit a spin-off filler episode in original series. Regardless, no clue what happened the way they have to downgrade from the ironic voice line from Storm 4.
Almighty push! Almighty push!
Time to unleash the power of God! It's time to unleash the power of God.
So, what is going on? Not to mention, most of the Ultimate Ninja Storm games have to strip away from any mini-games, wall climbing, and so on. Us never see them again, since Storm 1 in this game has no open world and removes some mini-boss and hack and slash and focus in shitty sideshow cutscene, as we have seen it millions of times in previous Storm games. Basically, not only do developers attempt to make it relevant again despite it being dead for years, but they exclusively had little to zero effort and market as a connection despite being too lazy to develop anything whatsoever. They already added a few new characters and so, nothing else changes here and had cluttering character selection, removed content, some shitty mechanics, and the same old combo from old Storm games. No wonder this game did not end well. This is a straight up upgraded version of the DLC game and Storm 4.5, as mentioned. Exactly like Overwatch 2, when they claim that a sequel is coming and not an actually Overwatch 1 still, but after release, they are all to look the same and create a bug fest like crazy. They barely add new characters and have them by the fucking battle pass or make a long ass period to get the new hero, whenever the trailer releases, a few new maps, and so on. And curse you for scrapping off PvE mode and forcing people to pay for PvE missions for fucking money. Let's make a comparison of some fighting games that they actually done right and infinitely better with actual combo and stuff. Yes, BlazBlue has some same moves whenever a sequel happens, but the difference is they added Exceed XL, while activating Overdrive and Central Fiction did a lot of damage when you have an active flow, and some of them have different finish move called Astral Finish with decent effort. And so does Culty Gear, Grand Blue Fantasy, and Melty Blood. Type Lumina did a decent job adding some new features and some of the different models at combo and sometimes decent patches. Hell, even other fighting games like Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Under Night in Birth, Super Smash Bros., King of Fighters, etc. put up updated models and new features in each fighting game. And yes, even you, Demon Slayer game. It's making them look like same aside from their flaws and netcode problems. And what about Jump Force? Well, at first, I thought it was interesting and put good potential, but unfortunately, this game is nothing but a flop, as fuck. The tedious combo, game lagging, forgettable story plot, and uninteresting villains. The game ages like a fine milled downward spiral. I can see they have to shut down online features, including ranked matches, inline events, and in-store games, since nobody plays that game anymore, since unbalanced bullshit and terrible netcode. Oh, I do give some credit that they eventually added Nomashiki and Kinshiki during the announcement released on Nintendo Switch for 3 years after the Road to Boruto launch. It's better than late, I guess. The graphic is getting better, some cool new models, like I said, and best of all, brought back a custom outfit for a character. While it's not that big, you can edit anything customization and check out some gear for your character. And the story is pretty insane, including the Naruto vs Sasuke cutscene. But the story is kind of forgettable and a one-dimensional boring video game is a dangerous plot, and merges in an interesting and boring villain in Nanashi Flash Hikari Uchiha is alright, I guess. Enough said. Besides custom lobbies not being a thing after Storm Connection was released, they did such a good job with the launch of some changes, mechanic implementation, and even somewhat netcode. And I'm actually glad they eventually extended combo to Ultimate Jutsu cancelled and the somewhat balanced patch. It has gotten a lot of interesting. But, then again, despite their effort, Ultimate Ninja Storm Connections is evidently boring and still hasn't brought back some of the old features used to have on Storm 1. Once again, I don't know why they removed Open World and replaced it with a Swiss Shout cutscene. That makes little to no sense in this game. And some characters are still broken, as usual, and deal with dash cut support remains here. The game is obviously trying to make this game relevant again with recut content, lazy, and recycled. Even this game costs $60 after 7 years and hard work of programming, and the anti-climax wasted potential of this game and anti-fun garbage. There's little point in getting this over the existing Ultimate Ninja Storm games and the tactic of glorifying expansion updates. And it looks like we're definitely not getting Storm 5 in a future way after wrapping up the original series from source material and done making Ultimate Ninja Storm games and never seeing it again in favor of retaining old features during their time making Storm Connection, bent on dumbing it down as much as possible. Talk about dissatisfaction. As a longtime fan of Naruto and Ultimate Ninja Storm, I'll just say it's not the worst game, but rather disappointing and unexciting, as they could been. I don't blame them for people thinking that Storm Connections is considered wasted potential and bad execution through mechanics, and baffled that the game is hit me some astounded. But regardless of my thought, it's hit or miss, given they did improve a little bit in their implementation in this game. Let's hope some client side and mechanics need to be fixed for better games and balance these out without dealing with broken ass games and some shit. But I digressed. I have a feeling this game willingly fails miserably and dies even faster than Storm 4. I don't know about you, but I already have my finger across to see if the game succeeds or not. And I hope Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 4 will be successful and superior than Storm Connections when the game is released. But still better than Jump Force.